A wilting leaf is a wilting leaf, whether it's drowning, starving, or freezing. 6 causes look almost identical, and almost nobody checks all 6 before guessing wrong. Here's how to tell them apart. Outdoor plants don't die from one cause. They die from one of 6, in order of how often each one actually happens. Because one is responsible for more dead garden plants than the other 5 combined, and it's not what most people think it is. Stick around for cause 4. It's the one that kills trees and shrubs months after the actual mistake was made, and almost nobody connects the two. Indoors, you control almost everything. Outdoors, the weather, the soil, and the season decide, and they don't wait for you to catch up. A mistake that's barely visible in week 1 is often irreversible by week 3. That's why so many people treat the wrong problem and watch the plant die anyway. Outdoors, overwatering usually isn't the watering can. It's drainage. Heavy clay soil or low spots trap water around the roots until they suffocate and rot from the tips inward. Underwatering looks different. Leaves curl inward, lower leaves yellow first, soil pulls away from the edges when it's bone dry. The test that actually works: push a finger 6 centimeters into the soil. Wet and cool means overwatered. Dry all the way down means underwatered. Waterlogged: stop watering, fix drainage, raised beds, coarse grit or compost worked in, container plants off the ground on pot feet. Drought-stressed: water deeply and infrequently. One long soak a week builds deeper roots than a daily sprinkle ever will. Mulch the base. 5 centimeters of bark or compost holds moisture and buffers temperature swings. Check soil moisture before you water on a schedule. The calendar doesn't know your soil. Your finger does, because 2 is the one that's hardest to undo once it's planted, because you can't move a flower bed 6 meters to the left. Too little sun, and a plant stretches, long, thin, pale stems reaching toward the nearest light, with weak growth that flops over. Too much sun, especially harsh afternoon light, scorches leaves on the side facing the sun. Not all over the plant, which is the giveaway. Track actual sun hours in a spot over a full day before planting. Morning sun and afternoon sun are not the same intensity, and most people guess wrong. Too much harsh afternoon sun, temporary shade cloth during the hottest weeks, or relocate in early spring or autumn when transplant shock is lowest. Too little light, prune back overhanging branches, or accept the spot needs shade-tolerant species instead of fighting the site. Match the plant to the site's actual light, not the light you wish it had. Because 3 is the one almost nobody tests for, and it's why fertilizer alone never fixes a struggling bed. Compacted soil, common in new builds or heavily walked yards, blocks root expansion and drainage at once, which produces symptoms that look exactly like overwatering. Yellowing between the veins while the veins stay green points specifically to iron or magnesium deficiency, usually from soil pH being off for that plant. A basic soil pH test costs almost nothing and tells you if you have an acidity problem before you buy a single bag of fertilizer. Break up compacted soil with a garden fork in early spring or autumn and work in compost to rebuild structure rather than fertilizing on top of a structural problem. Feed for the season the plant is actually in. Heavy feeding in late autumn when growth is slowing does more harm than good. Test before you feed. Fertilizer can't fix a structural soil problem, and the wrong fertilizer makes it worse. Because 4 does its damage in spring and doesn't show up until months later, which is exactly why it gets blamed on everything except itself. Every time you move a plant into the ground, you damage part of its root system. What determines survival is how much damage, and what happens next. Root-bound plants go into the ground still circling, which slowly strangles the plant over 1 to 2 growing seasons, which is why a tree planted last year can suddenly start dying this year for no obvious reason. Transplant shock shows a sudden wilting in the days after planting, leaf drop despite adequate water, and stalled growth for weeks. Before planting, pull the root ball out of the pot and look. If roots are circling the outside in a tight spiral, that plant is already root-bound. This is the single most skipped check in outdoor gardening. Gently tease apart or score those circling roots with a knife in 4 vertical cuts, so they're forced to grow outward into the surrounding soil instead of continuing to spiral. Water deeply and consistently for the first 2 to 4 weeks after planting regardless of weather. This single habit has more impact on survival than anything else on this list. Plant in early spring or autumn when temperatures are mild, never in the middle of a heat wave, which stacks heat stress on top of root damage. Stake young trees loosely in their first year. A root system still establishing itself can't yet hold the plant steady against wind on its own. A struggling tree planted last year is often still recovering from how it was planted, not catching a new disease. 2 causes left, and the next one moves faster outdoors than anywhere else because there's no wall between your garden and every garden around it. A slime trail after rain means slugs or snails. Clustered insects on soft new growth means aphids, outdoors. These are often already under some control from ladybirds and other predators. A white dusty coating means fungus. Dark water-soaked spots that spread fast in wet weather mean blight. Neither responds to insecticide at all. That's the most common mistreatment outdoors. Identify before you treat. A slime trail, a dusty coating, and a cluster of insects each need a completely different response. For fungal issues, improve airflow by spacing plants properly and watering at the base, not overhead. Wet foliage overnight is what most fungal disease needs to establish. For pests, start with the least invasive option, handpicking, barriers, or encouraging natural predators before reaching for chemical treatment. Treat the diagnosis, not the symptom. The same yellow leaf can mean 3 different problems with 3 different fixes. Frost damage shows as blackened, mushy foliage appearing suddenly after a cold night. Most dangerous on plants pushed into early growth by a warm spell, then hit by a late frost. Heat stress wilts a plant during the hottest part of the day, then partly recovers by evening. If it doesn't recover overnight, the cause is water or roots, not heat. Wind dries leaves faster than roots can resupply water and damages stems even when nothing looks obviously wrong at first glance. Cover tender plants with horticultural fleece before a forecast frost, and don't rush plants outside in spring just because of 1 or 2 warm days. For heat, water in the early morning rather than midday, and add temporary shade cloth during heat waves rather than overwatering to compensate. For wind, stake young trees and shrubs in their first year and use windbreak planting in consistently exposed spots. Weather damage is the only cause on this list you can predict in advance. Check the forecast before the damage, not after. Water, sunlight, soil, transplant shock, pests, weather. 6 causes, and now you know how to tell them apart in under a minute instead of guessing. If your garden's been struggling and you finally know which one this is, tell me in the comments. It tells me exactly what to cover next. Subscribe if you want the rest of your garden to actually survive this season.